there is one conspiracy that annoys me more than any other, apart from Flat Earth of course, it's all the space is fake and not real rubbish. ODD TV thinks he has some stark evidence to prove that space is fake. I am of course going to debunk every single piece of his evidence. Hello all and welcome along to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday with me, Simon Dan. Thank you very much for joining me. Before we begin today, a quick shout out to the sponsors of today's video, Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is a VPN service that makes online privacy protection easy and attainable, encrypting all internet traffic sent to and from your devices and ensuring that your IP addresses remain hidden to make sure nobody can see what you do online. On top of that, they block ads, trackers, malwares and phishing attempts, and unlike other VPN services, you can use it on as many devices as you like simultaneously. I personally spend as much time online as I do sleeping, about 6 to 8 hours a day, and that's why we should care about what happens to our online data. ID theft is an increasingly common and scary crime. Use Surfshark and its HackLock system to get alerts anytime your email addresses or passwords are compromised. HackLock scans various databases of leaked information and notifies its users if their data is found so you can take action. Click on the link in the description or visit surfshark.deal/SimonDan and use the promo code SimonDan to get a whopping 83% off and your first 3 months free. Right, back to today's video and this damning evidence from ODD TV.
There's this one video where the actor is going around a corner and he is faded out before making it completely out of the viewer's sight.
Of course, what ODD fails to tell you here is that this little clip is from a longer piece of footage of astronaut Jeff Williams moving around the ISS. And the film editors fade between scenes on this occasion so that the viewer doesn't have to wait for Jeff to go round and turn round and come back. Here is the scene immediately after he goes round that corner. Partnership. If that doesn't convince you, take a closer look at the left-hand side of the video. As Jeff passes the exercise bike that the astronauts use, he makes it move. You can tell that the whole scene has been faded out and not just the astronaut, because the exact moment that Jeff Williams' arm fades away, the exercise bike that he moves shifts position. Here it is one more time. Pay close attention to that exercise bike that Jeff moves as he passes it. As usual, easily explained.
Let's not forget space bubbles.
Dave Williams about to move out of the Quest airlock. Those particles that you see emanating from the airlock is said by the EVA officer Paul Baim in Mission Control to be particles of water from the crew's sublimators on their spacesuits.
This guy is literally explaining what they are. They aren't bubbles because your belief that the ISS is in a swimming pool means that bubbles will only go in one direction. They do not. They are filmed floating in all sorts of different directions. Bubbles do not do that.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Oh my word, this is cringe. Imagine actually asking that question live in person.
Can
Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, and it just happens that actors train in an underwater tank.
Yes, they do. So what? And the bubbles given off in that tank look nothing like your supposed space bubbles.
NASA tells us that the Earth is photoshopped because it has to be.
That was said once about one picture. Photoshop doesn't mean faked. You can take a real image and Photoshop it, and it would still be a real image afterwards.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
There was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
and then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space.
He made the Earth prettier. So what?
Some NASA actors say that you can totally see stars when you're in space.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
Yeah.
All
Because
the
you
time.
can see.
Yeah,
Because you can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Yeah. It's
which
not
is
a black
cool
void.
thing.
I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of little polka dots.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
Yeah, you can, and there's more than stars. You can see planets. You can
Right.
see moons.
You see the gas Magellan clouds of the
Yeah,
Milky
you
Way
see
galaxy.
the Magellanic Clouds.
Magellanic. See, I just wanted the Magellan
well, there's a large
clouds. I
one
didn't
and a
want to
small one, right?
Yeah.
And then you can see the zodiacal light.
Whoa.
Again, I see no problem here. They are on the ISS, which is orbiting Earth in very little atmosphere. He said couldn't see stars from the lunar surface, not space. And that's not a surprise. The sunlight reflecting off the moon's surface would make it very difficult to see any stars, much like if you were stood on the street next to a street lamp looking up at the sky.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
You can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
I don't remember seeing any.
I don't see the point in playing them next to each other. One was from the moon's surface, the other from the ISS.
NASA says that we can't leave low Earth orbit.
Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go.
The kinds of technologies that we're testing out on Space Station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit.
Early in the next decade, the set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
And this is really the beginning, I think, of human beings leaving low Earth orbit.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth.
Well, that was taken out of context, wasn't it? This quote was vehemently quote mined to oblivion. Bill Nye here was talking about waste disposal, not space travel in general. And the technology that's currently not in active use is the Saturn V rocket and in future the Orion spacecraft.
NASA tells us that they lost the 1960s technology that took us to the moon.
Yes, the Saturn V rocket. NASA currently uses other agencies and companies to get to the ISS.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
The ultimate destination is Mars. So if you gave me all the money in the federal budget today, I could not get a human to Mars.
I think that what you're doing is taking a shot in the dark You have no way of knowing if any commercial entity will ever be able to put a man in orbit, no matter how much money you throw at them. What you're doing is you're taking NASA's manned space program and making it a faith-based initiative. I yield the rest of my time.
NASA also says that they lost the telemetry data for the moon missions.
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
Unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
Which is obviously very sad, but that doesn't mean that we didn't go to the moon, and it certainly doesn't mean that space is fake. This video is just a mashup of some of the worst proofs I've ever seen. Space is 100% real, and to deny otherwise is, in my opinion, foolish. Well, that one flew by, didn't it? If you enjoyed it, which I hope you did, then please do like and subscribe. It'd be thoroughly appreciated. Just enough time to once again thank Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. Remember, visit surfshark.deals/SimonDan and use my code SimonDan to get 83% off and 3 months extra fee. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Simon Dan. Have yourselves a great week, and I'll see you all on Friday for some more flat Earth fun.